This story is so sad. This morning, a woman shot and killed her former daughter-in-law and then turned the gun on herself in a murder SUICIDE, and reportedly this was over a custody dispute. This took place in the Upper East Side of Manhattan in New York. The shooter has been identified as 65-year-old Kathleen Lee, and the victim has been identified as 45-year-old Marissa Galloway. Marissa was her former daughter-in-law, or ex-daughter-in-law. This was after they allegedly had a confrontation regarding a custody dispute. Reportedly, Kathleen was a retired probation officer from Chicago, Illinois, and she had been living with her family in New York for the past 3 years. This morning at around 9 a.m., just as Marissa was putting her 1-year-old daughter in the car and loading a stroller up in the trunk, Kathleen walked up to her. Kathleen then pulled out a 9mm Glock and then shot Marissa in the head before she turned the gun on herself on the sidewalk. Marissa was rushed to a local hospital, but unfortunately she ended up dying because of her injuries. It was said she had 2 GSWs, one to her head and one to her lower back. Reportedly, Marissa was a special education teacher, and she is pictured here. Kathleen was reported deceased at the scene, and she shot herself in the head. Luckily, the child was not hurt. The little girl, was sitting in the back seat of the car. Reportedly, authorities found one gun on the sidewalk next to Kathleen and one in her tote bag as well. Police said all of this stemmed from an ongoing custody dispute between Marissa and the child's father, which would have been Kathleen's son. At least that's what they're thinking the motive of the shooting was. They said that the preliminary motive of this incident is going to be an ongoing domestic dispute. They also said that police had responded to 5 domestic incident reports in the past involving the women, but no arrest had ever been made. There were also 2 complaint reports, and they all seemed to stem from custody issues. Neighbors also mentioned they were aware of the tension between Marissa and her ex-husband and the custody issues. It was said that she always talked about the fact that she had a former husband or ex-husband who was harassing the HELL out of her. And a neighbor also stated that they had child services at their door one night, asking if they had ever heard anything coming from next door, I guess, asking about Marissa and her ex-husband's home, if they had ever heard any ruckus or anything. Reportedly, the troubles really started in July of 2021 when authorities filed 2 domestic incident reports. This would be after Marissa and her ex got into arguments, and reportedly one took place at a doctor's office. They said that they took 5 domestic incident reports between July of 2021 and November of last year. Reportedly, the father complained on several different occasions that the daughter came home with bruises. 2 incidents led to Administrator Children's Services looking into them, and they all found that the reports were unfounded. But it was also said that Kathleen thought that Marissa was abusive because a neighbor said she'd see Kathleen out and about, and Kathleen would mention things like, yeah, the baby's mother's abusive and whatnot. The neighbor said that she knew Kathleen did not like her daughter-in-law. Also, reportedly, an agreement gave the father custody Friday through Monday, or Monday through Friday, I should say, and the mother, Marissa, had her the rest of the day, so I guess Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The authorities also stated they are investigating the firearms that were used in the incident this morning. They said the firearms have no significant history there in New York City, and they weren't reported as stolen. They are going to look into whether or not the weapons were Kathleen's that she used when she was a probation officer. The investigation is ongoing. Sources had stated that Kathleen had terminal cancer and was living with her son, which would be Marissa's ex-husband, while she was going through treatment. Marissa was said to be a volunteer coach at Fordham University and a board member at the Central Park Track Club, and she was described by friends and neighbors as being a very devoted mom. She also reportedly had another daughter who was 4 years old. Guys, I swear custody disputes are the worst. They are horrible and have the potential to completely ruin lives, but are never worth shooting over. This is a super sad story, and my heart and prayers go out to both of their family and friends, and especially the 2 young girls who will now grow up without a mother.